Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and this amazing little unit is the Vtoman FlashSpeed 1500. This Alright, actually let's get real. There are lots of these kinds of boxes around. This is a solid one for the money. It's got a couple of features that got me interested in it, and the interesting thing is Vtoman contacted me during a power outage, if you can believe that. I've gone over a few of the things that went on in western Montana where we lost power. We actually had a really bizarre weather event that the last time that kind of a weather event happened was 1994, and it was in Utah. So, lots of strangeness. We've since lost power again, and we have had multiple thunderstorms, lightning strikes. I expected just to come back to Montana after being in Colorado for a couple of weeks. I was going to just be in a smoky mess, lots of forest fires. Instead, I'm getting warnings from power companies saying, or the power company saying they were going to do maybe some rolling brownouts or blackouts because things were getting too hot. Anyway, what happened when the power went out is I had a couple backup batteries. In fact, I had charged them before I had left. That's kind of the thing I do. I don't know why. Just habit. Make sure everything's topped off before I leave. I come back to no power. Now, this system, the Vtoman, I call it a system because there is a entirely separate large battery that you can connect to this. I'm gonna go over that in a sec. But first of all, most of these have a very similar form factor as far as having, you know, USB, traditional AC. This one has a actual jumper cable port. So if you've got the accessory cord that you can connect to your car battery, you can use this as a jump box. Obviously, I can charge this thing into or connect it up to a separate battery. I can charge it AC, I can charge solar, and I can charge it very slowly through a car power port or old cigarette lighter. Output, obviously I've got the traditional DC outputs that we're familiar with, USB-A. These things are 18 watts. Or 100 watt outputs on the USB-C. That's critical if you're trying to do actual computers. Pure sine wave. All this stuff checks out. Hit a button. I get a readout that tells me what the capacity is, and when I plug something in, it tells me if it's going down, or because this also works as uninterrupted power supply. That's what I mean to say. I can actually plug something in, say a refrigerator. If I'm expecting a rolling brownout or blackout, I can plug my appliance or whatever I need in here, and then I can plug this into the wall, and should the power go out, this continues even though this stops. And it's got a really fast clamp time. I can't remember. Actually, clamp time is for surge suppressor to switch over, which is plenty fast for most things. Most computers wouldn't even notice. Anyway, on the top, something kind of nice, there is a cord port. Now, I overstock these with all kinds. You might think these are audio ports. Sometimes I have to connect up radios to speakers, things like that. So I overdrive these. Here's to run the charging through a car power port. This is a key one. We'll keep that out because I'm going to show you what that does. It actually connects this unit to a backup, almost equal-sized battery, essentially doubling the power. Others, USB-C charging, lightning charging. I got this set of little tiny charging cables a long time ago, and I've used these non-stop. You know, for you young ones out there, you're going, what is that? Well, the first iPod, first iPhones. But anyway, having these things, sometimes, you know, Garmin still uses this on some of their GPSs. Plenty of converters to go back and forth as I'm trying to run things, you know, make them work between USB-C, USB-A. Anyway, and the charging cable, you know, the plug into the wall. Brilliant design. I don't have an extra bag hanging onto it. Now like I said, have several of these, and one of the things I've noticed is that there are all kinds of features you never use, because when it goes dark, what do you want? You want immediately just what it does best, which is going to be output, either USB probably or AC, most likely AC if you've got something this large. But you can do other things, but those have to be critical. So when you turn this thing on, you want a ton of capacity and you want it to drive what you're using. So this thing has a peak output of 3,000 watts if it needs it. It's got sustained 1,500 watts. This thing weighs quite a bit. This is about 41 pounds. That's pretty hefty. But you're not. This isn't a portable. I mean, it's portable, but it isn't designed to be just carried around like some of the smaller units. So what else? I can plug in solar. It'll take up to 400 watts of solar to keep this thing charged. It has the uninterrupted power supply that I mentioned. It's 20 milliseconds. I just looked that up. Switch over, so super fast. Most appliances can't detect that. And it has one of the big things, which probably is where this FlashSpeed comes from, super fast charging. Now that means that I can pump into this thing, whenever if I'm trying to charge it, I can get a full charge from dead to full charge in about an hour. Now, why that's critical and why that's unusual, most of them it's a lot longer than that, is if I'm in a sustained blackout, I could take this unit somewhere else for an hour to charge it up. It's kind of like an electric car. You know, you don't want to have to sit there for 24 hours while it's slowly charging. So I can get up to 1,500 watts of charging from a 110 outlet. So if I can go somewhere where there's power, I can get a hold of a generator, you know, like say a gas generator, I can fill this thing up in an hour. That's what we're talking about, is bulk electricity. So let's take a look at the battery that I can connect to this. Oh, you want to spin around this thing and see, it's got fans on the side, on the back, it has a light. You can just hit the button here to turn that on. You can go through different settings, emergencies, etc. This is kind of nice. You can also use it just as ambient light in a room. Continue on around, and another fan. So let's take a look at the battery. Alright, this is the back end of the battery. This is the PB81 FlashSpeed 1500 extra battery. So the capacity here is another 1,548 watt hours. And again, it's the lithium iron phosphate. So turn it around, pretty uneventful, because this is just bulk electricity. Just total bulk. There are no features, you can't charge it. Independent of the unit, you can't plug anything into it. It is just, it's a tank of gas, is a way of thinking about it, just a gas can. So I could take this, pop this open, right here, line it up, and now I can plug this in and get my 1,500 watt hours out of the thing. Plug it directly into my other unit. It's a little bit lighter, but it's super functional, because a lot of times if you go with anything bigger than about 1,500, it's going to be hard to move it around. A lot of times they transition to wheels. I do have one of those. But also, I can take this to whatever location I need in 2 different pieces, so it's a lot easier to move. Do they stack well? No. Can I charge this some other way? No, I wish I could, but that's not how it's designed. And there have been some concerns that if you drain this, which does drain before the other, the FlashSpeed 1500, that it doesn't switch over automatically. You have to then start it again with the other. I don't know if that's a feature or a bug. I could see why you may not want that. You know, to have just this one continuous set of of power draw once you're switching to a different mechanism, because you might want to be aware, or maybe you want to drain this, but you don't want to drain the other one, because that's the one where all the, the business end, that's where all the plugs are. So if you fell asleep, let your freezer door, stay open, this would, run through the night and it'd be dead in the morning. Maybe that's not what you want. Anyway, so I don't know, feature or bug, but overall, am I impressed? Yeah. Price-wise, it's below a lot of them. But again, remember, when the power goes out, what do you have? Do you have anything? Do you have what you need to sustain your fridge, your freezer, to power any devices, to go mobile, if you've got to leave, or as we like to say, bug out. And of course then you also have units that you can use with a ton of, add the extra battery, whoops, get the focus in here, you got a ton of extra power if you need it, or not. You can just take the other unit, the FlashSpeed 1500, mobile for camping, whatever. But what I ran into when the power went out was a lot of people didn't have anything, and they waited. I mean, it almost was like the bad prepper books. Everyone just staring at the sky, wondering, when's the power going to come back on? Well, probably shortly after everything in your refrigerator rots. Obviously, everywhere sold out of generators, except I did find one. This was kind of funny. It was at a pawn shop. I talked to the guy about it because I said, wow, it was a Honda. He wanted, $700-800 for it. It was trashed. It was small. I think it was an EU 1000. And it looked like it had been fixed with Briggs and Stratton parts. The pull cord was a piece of wood, and it looked like a regular piece of rope. I mean, it was a mess. And the guy I was talking to who owned the pawn shop said that's the only one that never sold. Everything else was gone almost instantly. Same at all of the big boxes in local towns. I mean, people, they basically, it got them going. Same with chainsaws, same with flashlights and lanterns. But things like this are next level. Come on, focus there. And those next level things allow you to do a lot more predictably and quietly, and in many cases safer, because we did have some accidents, lots of chainsaw accidents, a few fires with generators. And the other thing is, a lot of people didn't know how to use the generator. They're trying to read through the manual. They had no idea how to hook it up. They were using bad extension cords, running them too long. So, a lot of talk, but the Vtoman system, if you don't have something, you need to act. Because I'm listening to thunder right now. I wouldn't be surprised if the power went out again. I wouldn't be surprised if we lost it. We are now being in this area, what the lights just blinked. I didn't have anything to do with that. Just trying to do this video. But we are now a federal disaster area. There are still major power lines that are kind of strung together because there are trees that took them down. And those power lines are going to have to be taken down. The old ones taken down, new ones put up, but they've got us limping along in this area. And so that's why if you're going to do something, you need to do it before there's a problem. So that's why something like this with just bulk power. Imagine this is a tank of gas just sitting here. So I will make another video where I'm actually operating the thing, but that's enough for the philosophy right now. Just do it, because if you aren't ready and something happens, you're going to be just like everybody else, running around trying to figure it out. Anyway, enough lecture, and with that, Doc